Boom, we're live. Boom, boom. I gotta tell you right off the bat, we were talking a little bit behind the scenes, but what was I gonna say? My roommate, I came to my parents because I'm fulfilling, and I have a space in the garage. But then this is actually just like the TV room. But I do a lot of fulfilling for Hotel Story too, so I do that at my
Mm.
parents, which is like one town over. So I'm about to leave, and my roommate was like, "By the way, I saved the last bit of eggnog for you if you want to try some eggnog." And I was like, "Oh, it's the season!" So I chugged a bunch of eggnog. But I've been doing keto diet for like a month, so that was the
Mm.
first I broke ketosis or whatever, like, that was the first sugar I've had in a month, and I felt like I still feel like shit a little bit, so I kinda regret it, but
Wow.
it was
Yeah.
really good though, but it was like, "Oh my god," like, I wouldn't have thought that you notice how sugary it is, it feels like you're drinking, like, battery acid, like, thick, sinewy, like, you're like, "What am I
Yeah,
doing?"
like, that's interesting. I've never done a diet like that before, but I've heard people share similar stories where, you know, we acclimate so easily to sugar, and it's like our bodies get used to it, and then, it starts to crave it so often that
Yeah,
you don't even realize how, like, we don't remember what it was like not to have it. So when you leave your body, when you let your body go from it, it's really strange. It is like not like poison, but it's just like adding a foreign agent into your body where it's like, whoa, what are you doing?
yeah,
And when I it's why I love Japanese culture and Japanese food so much too, is like their sweets are like, you would give an American or a Westerner, like, a sweet, and they'd be like, "What? Like, this is sweet? Like, this isn't sweet enough,"
yeah,
because we're so used to having everything like, 11 out of 10 sweetness where it's so rich.
yeah. It is like a cultural thing, yeah, and it's, like, way more healthy in other cultures, and everyone's different, like, I have a friend I lived with a buddy a few years ago, him and his now wife, and they would snack all day, and they're skinny, but, yeah, they would snack, like, really unhealthy snacks, and it just
Yeah.
they've been doing it all their life, I guess, but if I did it, I would sugar crash, and I
Yeah.
think I am, like, basically pre-diabetic or something, I got something going on.
Yeah. No, I've gotten into a habit. I'm kind of a one meal per day type of person, and like I do like to snack during the day, and I like to have a big dinner, But I realize that I don't think that's very good for your metabolism, depending on how much you snack or whatnot. But like, you're just not, because what happens is, at the end of the day, I realize I'm overeating because I'm making up for the lack of calories that I got earlier, and that's not good either, because it's really not good to eat so much right before, you go to bed.
Yeah,
So that's another health tip at
yeah.
Narwhal's YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think there is kind of fun overlap with it's surprisingly fun for artists to talk about health. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
they're always up to something and always keeping an eye on something. And then there's like from writers' perspectives, I just froze. I'm worried can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
okay, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writers' perspectives, writers they'll get paranoid and worried about like losing their brain juice or whatever, especially as they get older. I don't think you have to worry about this at all yet. But like
Yeah.
Phil, so not I mean, like, my buddy Phil, he doesn't drink, partly, I think, because he's worried about brain damage, and I mean, on
Yeah.
one hand, you're like, "Alright, so many of the great writers of history drank a ton," but on the flip side too, the main one I'm thinking of, I can't think of his name right now, but he blew his brains out because he drank too much and his brain quit working when he was about 60, so then he killed himself.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Was
like
that was that Ernest Hemingway, or was that
yeah,
someone
yeah,
else?
Hemingway,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I thought that was Hemingway. I mean, it's not unlike some of the writers from yesteryear to take their own life eventually. That seems to be a reoccurring thing, because we're tortured artists, right? And
yeah,
yeah, I couldn't imagine, the thing that has defined you, realizing in real time that that's leaving you. That's a really hard thing to
yeah,
grasp. It's, I imagine for an artist it would be like you get in a crash or something and your hands don't work anymore. It's like, man, like what would I do?
Yeah, or a
Um,
dancer with broken legs or whatever, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's like yeah, they tell stories about that, and it's, like, tragic or whatever.
right,
Another
right.
example is Donnie Cates. He tweeted once about he, like, had a pill concoction of, like it was like I'm not to misrepresent it, I'm trying to remember, but, it was like brain pills like you buy on Rogan almost because he's worried about his brain, like and he mentioned, like, actually, my hat's off to anyone who, like, is honest about it because it is, like, a little bit neurosis or whatever, and
Yeah,
it's crossed my
yeah.
mind too, and that's where I'm like, if I eat too much sugar, one of the things I get is brain fog, and brain fog is like a really bad feeling for me because I definitely can't write if I got brain fog. For me, it's like four
Yeah.
hours in the morning. Usually, I'm fasting. It's like before I even eat. Those are my hours where I can actually like write. My brain is like firing
Yeah.
cylinders, kind of with
Ye
some coffee usually.
yeah, I'm definitely I feel like I have the most energy in the morning. Like, I'm a morning person, and while I'm able to write at any point of the day, um, I feel the best when I start the day writing, or at least doing something productive, whether it is working out, writing, um, I don't know, answering emails, like getting some work done.
Yeah,
And that it's the best way to start the day, because even if I haven't gotten to do something I really wanted to do, or maybe put some pen to paper, um, I can at least I can at least rest knowing, and look forward to writing knowing that I've gotten all this other crap out of the way, because that really gets in my way, where I'm like, man, if I only have a certain amount of time, I feel like I'm being rushed to try to get something done. And for writing, in my opinion, at least for me, it just harms the process, because then what you're doing is you're having to kind of maybe take shortcuts to get something done, when you'd want some more time to marinate on it. But at the same time, I can see how that can be, deadlines are very helpful in that way,
yeah,
because they help you to get it done and to focus, and to, really hone in on what you're doing. But sometimes for me, in my experience, I find like, if I don't have, a couple hours to at least kind of work this scene, um, if I'm not confident about it, then I don't want to release it. I don't want to share it with anyone. I'm
I
like,
know.
it's not
It's so
done.
different. That's the biggest difference I think between indies and mainstream, I guess, is mainstream has, deadlines and indies don't, so
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having a deadline is, like, a great habit to be able to work under a deadline, and that can be because 'cause we're gonna talk a little bit about esoteric advice. I heard
Yeah.
someone I forget who it was, it might have been in an interview with Mark Miller, it was like a Miller time thing, but the guy said if he has to write a story in 1 week, he spends, like, 2 days writing, 1 day thinking about it, and then 2 days rewriting,
Mm.
and then it's done or whatever, and I was like, "Man, yeah, you have to be, like, almost regimented," and there would be some, like, letting it into the wild when you're not 100% happy with it, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, you're
With
writing, like, 50 shorts or 50 issues, in a year or something, and
how
that's
was
kinda crazy.
how was the transition for you, working on Vatican City? Like, was that a difficult deadline to make for you, or did you have a lot of runtime or leeway time to work on it?
Yeah, so I actually it was little bit of culture shock, but also I was kind of faking it till I make it, like, because they were just like assuming almost in a nice way. I think they were just like, "Yeah, here's the deadlines, here's the blah blah blah, here's the blah blah blah." I'm like, it's all new to me, but I was like, "Okay, yep, here, give it to me."
Yeah.
And and
Right.
so yeah, but the thing I did though is I dropped everything and just worked on it. And I actually did for while I was getting my sea legs or whatever, I was definitely working on it 7 days a week. Not
Yeah.
necessarily 8 hours a day, but like yeah, I was giving
Working
up
on
like
it every day. Yeah.
yeah. And then by like towards the end, I was down to where I could take weekends off and everything because I got a little bit more like even the process or whatever felt
Yeah.
a little more
Yeah,
comfortable.
that's something that I had to learn a little bit, not necessarily a harsh deadline, but um, one of my publishing deals that I got this year. I'm working with an editor, and you know, the editor will ask me to, can you get this done at this amount of time? And that's new for me because I've never worked with an editor before, and so for me to like have a deadline, because I would just always give myself deadlines, and sometimes I'm a nice boss to myself, sometimes I'm not a not so nice boss, but like
Yeah,
it's all on you, right? And so having that commitment and um fulfilling that deadline and that promise, to me, I take very seriously, because it is a sign of professionalism, it's a sign of courtesy. The thing about comics in particular is that if one if if one like part of the machinery is off or is slower than the others, or doesn't is not in sync with the others, it slows everyone else down,
yeah,
so if you're not able to meet that deadline, it's going to be everyone else is going to be thrown off by a day or two, depending on how far along you are. But
yeah,
and that's why it can be so important.
totally. Carlos Munoz, Eres el peor. Does that mean I am pear? I don't know. I forget. Um, by the way, this the reason for the season, no pun intended, is seasons, volume 1 and 2, and this is one of your publishing deals, so we can talk a little bit about that. We have a couple
I'd
little
love
things
to.
planned for this live
Yeah.
stream. It should be fun. We're going to go over some esoteric writing advice in the second half of the show too, I think. We got right now we got 3, 4, 5 people watching. If you're in the chat, definitely say hi. And yeah, this is called the NOODGE. So if you get any backers while we're live, that means my wrestling move, the NOODGE, just happened to you. Where you go, "Poof, I got you with the NOODGE," which is actually a good thing, I guess, in this
Awesome,
situation.
awesome. I hope we can reach 80 backers. It's what I really want to hit tonight, if possible.
Yeah.
Um, we got 8 days to go. We have about $2,200 that we need to get. I think we'll make it. I think we'll get there, but we'll we'll uh we'll keep pressing. I know I've scheduled, I think, over 20 interviews for this campaign.
Oh, in the
So
next week or just total?
no, just like total. I
Oh, yeah.
think like I think like 25 maybe altogether. Um
Yeah, so almost like 1 a day or whatever. Was it a 30-day?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one week where I did like 9 or 10 in one week, and I
Yeah,
was like,
see,
"Oh,
that's a
oh
ton,
my."
and that's a gauntlet, and just doing that is your best foot forward. That's yeah, that's professional, and it is exhausting for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I'm always trying to bring something new to each interview. I don't want to regurgitate the same old stuff, but like, it is a matter of getting it out there as much as possible. So I've really been pushing hard, and I hope people will check this campaign out. There's
Yeah.
only 8 days left, so I hope people go check it out. I don't know. Do you have the link in the description or the
Yeah, it's in
chat?
the description, so if we have a
Okay,
mod yet,
cool,
you can find it in the description, or if mods can grab it and post it. I'm not sure if we have mods watching it or not. By the
awesome.
way, I see this, the 9 created, 101 backed. I like to see that too, that's good. For me, that, like, encourages a backing almost, like, I wonder if that helps the chat too. If you're on the fence, like, you've got a couple different books you're thinking about backing, the economy like it is, sometimes we wanna back 5 books, but we can only afford 2, and that can be the trouble, like, what if you're a
Yeah,
book that's on everyone's top 5 list, but they can only back 2? You're still not quite making it, you know? But,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so, like, that's, like, the golden era where yeah, I guess it was COVID when people had disposable income, they weren't working, so they're looking for, uh that's when, like, all 5 are getting bought kinda thing, and it's a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah, people are having to really, be picky now and narrow their choices down, and I was a bit worried launching this campaign so close to the holidays. But it's going to end right before Thanksgiving, so I
yeah,
think,
that's perfect.
yeah, I think we're in the clear there, but I knew if I was going to launch it, it had to be, in October. And so yeah, it'll end, I think, November 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So
Cool. This page is awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, so the, artist for the book, Anthony Gonzalez Clark, he does all of it. He's the artist, and, he worked on both volumes 1 and 2, and we're working on, volume 3 right now, so but yeah, he is, incredible. He's an incredible artist, and,
oh, you know what I love about that too, actually, and not to for anyone that this doesn't happen to, it's fine. I don't mean to like, yeah, it's not like exclusive or whatever, but I love it when a book has the same artist for the whole book, which can be
yes.
hard to pull off in indies. That can be an issue, but
It can
um,
be, and it's something, I initially worried about with a big project like this because it is gonna be 4 volumes, and each volume is over 100 pages. So it's like, man, that's a lot to ask. It's a big commitment, but I've been able to kinda, space it out with Anthony to where I feel like we can still make it work, and, as long as he's game, we'll both be working on it for the foreseeable future. So
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen him on Twitter. I think I follow him, but I don't know if I've interacted yet. But yeah, his art's great. Um, Yeah, the book has a very definitive style. It's pretty nice, pretty fun.
yeah, and the cool thing, so like the impetus that led to this campaign was, I sold out of the hardcovers for this series. I had volumes 1 and 2 originally released as these limited edition hardcovers, and as we're getting ready for volume 3, I needed the opportunity to give people to pick up the book and to catch up, and to so this is kind of like a second chance, or um, rediscovery of the series, and I'm allowing people to be able to get on board with this, and because it's such a special series to me, and it was the first book that I ever put out in like 2018, and so to be back and to get people hyped up and pumped up for the next 2 volumes, um, is really, it's really become my goal to finish the series as quickly as possible, and for us to be able to knock this out and give people a full, you know it's gonna be about, like, 500 pages, of story for this entire series.
Cool. And this was your first big book, right? Is that true?
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
So, I started working on seasons right out of high school when I was, like, 18, 17 years old. I, like, wrote the first issue, and I set it aside for a while.
And you're like
Um
25 now, right? Or
Yeah,
something.
I just turned 28.
Okay,
So
cool. Oh, so you
yeah.
only have 2 more years of being a young gun. So
I know, I know. I gotta, I gotta finish this before I'm 30. But no, this series has been with me for a very long time, and um, we released it initially as a web comic for people to read for free, and then we eventually took the first volume to Kickstarter, and then it funded, and then we from then on, I've been addicted to making comics and to running crowdfunding campaigns, and trying to build my portfolio as a writer. And this is also Anthony's first book too. So
how did you
he
meet Anthony?
yeah, so I met him on an art forum site, DeviantArt, back in the day, when that was kind of the all the rage. It
Nice.
was one of the few places I could find independent artists, and for me, I didn't even know where to look. So like I was just looking up art websites and trying to see what was on there, and I think I remember typing in something so general into the search engine, where it was like comic book illustrations, or comic book pages, or something like that. And Anthony had done a few sequentials, and I just it was I was attracted to those, and then it was like magnetic, where I was like, whoa, like, who is this guy? Like these pages are great. And I reached out to him via email, and pitched the book to him, and we agreed on pricing and everything on the page rate, and from then on we were off to the races, and we started having these 2 to 3 hour creative sessions where we would go over the script together and he would lay out the pages and we do it in real time working together. And it was amazing. I mean, it was like a crash course through making comics because it was like the first time he or I had really completed an entire book,
Yeah.
for both of us. So um,
That
it's
makes
pretty
me wanna
awesome.
read it more. I need to read it. I like reading first, like with directors, I like seeing their first movie with,
Yeah, yeah.
and artists and writers too, and learning it together sounds like fun. Real quick, you can continue, but I so 100 pages for $15 is a really good deal. Chad, I hope if you see this, consider. And is it regular comic size or is it manga size?
It's regular, yeah, regular comic book size or graphic novel size. So it'll look, right at right at home on your shelf, in your graphic novel collection. And yeah, both volumes are over 100 pages. And like I said, yeah, there's over 100 pages for $15 for both volumes. And there's also, bundles. So you can get both volumes one and two, or you can just get, a variant cover for volumes one or two. You can mix and match. All these are available as add ons. So if you want one cover over the other, you can pick that up. And then I do have a limited supply of the hardcovers that are still available for volume two. Volume one's completely sold out as a hardcover, but you may be able to find one on eBay. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of great rewards. We have original art. We have my Foxhole Comics bundle, which is my imprint, which has like all of my books that I've released. And you can also get the original artwork for a couple of the variant covers. So that's pretty sick too.
Cool. For this original art, is that like page art by Anthony Gonzalez? Or is it
Yes. Yeah.
so did he draw everything traditional and then color it?
So the entire series is black and white, but he does color the covers.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
then he did a majority of volume one traditionally, and he did some of volume two traditionally.
Oh,
But
gotcha. So it's like some pages are
yeah,
available.
yeah, not all of them, but a lot of them are. And for anyone who backs the original art tier, um, happy to send you, options. Like I'll give you options of like which page you want. So
Cool. Yeah, here's the Rob Willis. Rob Willis art would be awesome to own if anyone's in the
yeah, yeah, that's
um,
pretty amazing.
what about it says down here, it's kind of fun news. I might have to scroll a bit, but it's Source Point Press, right? Is that have you talked much about that yet?
Yeah. So this year, this was also kind of
Oh, by the way,
another.
sorry. I keep interrupting
Oh.
you, but you look like young Donald Sutherland. Has anyone ever told you that?
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, a lot of people have told me not actually Donald, but Kiefer Sutherland. His
Oh,
son.
okay, Kiefer. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah, yeah.
hey, same family. So
Yeah, you got the Sutherland phenotype.
yeah. But yeah, so Source Point Press is the
Here we go.
publisher for Seasons. I struck this deal over the summer, and this campaign, like the um, the series is really living or dying on this campaign in particular because um, we're hoping to use these funds for a large print run so that we can distribute these books to comic book stores and bookstores all across the country in late 2026. Um, but that does not mean the books will be fulfilled. Like the books are going to be fulfilled way before they hit the direct market. So backers will be able to get in on this and get their books 6 to 8 months in advance from these volumes ever hitting the store shelves.
Yeah,
But yeah, so this is the home for Seasons, and um, we're hoping to release all 4 volumes through Source Point Press. And yeah, so I'm super stoked about this. They have distribution through Simon and Schuster for major large chain bookstores, and they also have distribution through Lunar for comic book shops. So um, it'll be awesome. I'm really stoked.
Yeah, and you signed 2 publishing deals. Will this hit first or the other one?
Great question. I feel like this one may hit first, but I'm not 100% sure. It depends on how quickly we get the other book done that we're working on. But yeah, that book will be published by Gungnir Books, Gungnir Entertainment, and I'm working with Steve Orlando, the current writer of Scarlet Witch at Marvel, and he's done a lot of other amazing books at Marvel and DC and other publishers. But he's my editor on this new project, and we're hoping for a 2026 release date on that as well. But that's going to be a 140-page hardcover graphic novel.
Do you have an
So
artist lined up for that one?
we do, and I can't say who it is yet, but yes,
That's
it's working
fun
on
when the
pages.
news yeah, like,
Yeah,
the news is coming, but it can't, won't be
yeah.
like
We wanna wait to let everyone know when we announce the project. So, but yeah, I'm super excited about that, and
Is
I'm
it
hoping.
is it a story about you that you stay up for 24 hours straight as a writer running around between different comic companies?
That would be awesome. I should do the 24-hour comic, challenge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
It'd
thought
be
about trying to
perfect.
do that through, like, Twitter or whatever to see if there is any interest to do a little comic jam, but like, I might get into it if I could find, like, 10 people who are into it, and I can maybe
Yeah.
find, like, 1 person who's into it. Because when it comes down to it, people are like, "Yeah, I don't really wanna stay up for 24 hours," and
You're like, "But imagine it, like,
yeah, I'm like,
imagine."
"Well, neither do I," but if enough people
You could do a 24-hour live stream, and maybe it could be like a charity event or something, but yeah,
yeah.
where you just make a comic for 24
You know
hours.
what would
That'd
be
be
fun? In animation, they do a thing, I think they just call it reanimated, where you might have, like, 500 animators, and they'll do, like, Simpsons reanimated, or they did, like, Akira reanimated, and each
mm,
animator gets 1 shot, and then when you're done, you put them all together. So it's like it's changing styles every 3 seconds, but it's the exact Akira movie, and then there's that version
ah,
gets released. Um,
yeah.
and that's, like, kind of fun. Like, I feel like that would be a cool comic to do is, like, have every page be a different style, and just do like I mean, like, I wondered what you would do because you probably put it out for free, obviously because you don't have the rights, but you could do, like, Watchmen or something, and,
Yeah.
like, just have and if you could do it, like, if people want, they could, like, change the story a little bit, or they could do 2 pages instead of 1 if they wanna add a joke or something, and it could just be but you kind of, quote, unquote, "ruin it," but it would be this weird document, and people would still wanna check it out.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be, such a great experiment, and, I mean, some of my favorite, um, projects are ones where it's how was this made? Like, there's an anthology that I'm a part of, that was just released this year called "This Ink Runs Cold" that Scott Morse, put together at Alan Spiegel Fine Arts, and, he took every page in this anthology is a one-page comic, and he drew all of it. So while the art styles, don't change, like it's all him. Every every page is a different story.
Yeah.
So, and it's like this sci-fi noir theme, and it's amazing. Like it's an amazing reading experience because um, it it just brings out so much imagination that is there, and as you're reading it, you're just seeing all of these amazing stories come to life all in the same package, and it's really special.
Was that crowdfunded or is where do you find that? That sounds cool.
Yeah, so I believe it is available through Alan Spiegel Fine Arts, through their website. But they did do a crowdfunder for it last year, and I think they're still in fulfillment. But I know that you can pick it up at their tables at conventions,
Cool.
and different all the different creators have some comps, so and like they can sell it too if they want. But yeah, it's a big, I have it here. So
Oh, yeah, here, I'm gonna make you
it's
bigger.
like this oversized,
Oh, wow.
and
Ooh, that's
yes,
cool.
oversized, like humongous hardcover,
I
and
want that for some reason. That's speaking to
but
me.
yeah, if
I didn't even know about the crowd or the yeah. I'm bad at
you can
crowdfund
you can
slips through the
see
cracks so often. Yeah.
that's my name right there.
Oh, yeah, cool.
But yeah, so Bendis, Brian Michael Bendis is a part of this. Mike Allred, Matt
Oh, cool. I see the
Wagner,
yeah,
um,
cool.
Dean Haspiel, uh, the Ink Pulp guys like
Yeah.
Mateo Scalera and Sean
Ooh.
Crystal.
So how did
Yeah.
you get how did you get in on that? And even the source point, are you just like someone who you see submission, you're submitting like to everything, 100 submissions, and then like a bunch of
Y-
rejections, and then one says yes, or like are you networking? Are you going to conventions? I know one of your email updates was about hitting up conventions, and I was like, yeah, it sounds like you're networking hardcore kind of, but what's your strategy?
yeah. Yeah, so for a long time, I kind of switched gears over the last 2 years. For a long time, I was really just focused on making my own stuff. I was really focused on building a portfolio and kind of having. I wanted at least like 6 books that were complete and that were out. Maybe not all different properties, but at least a couple issues of one and a couple issues of another, and just kind of like make comics. Like I just wanted to make comics and keep my nose to the ground and you know focus on making these books. And so there were Seasons and Manchild and The Fabled Offering and my other book, this other graphic novel called Lifeline. Um, and so I did these books, and I was like, I'm gonna complete Manchild, complete Seasons, but while I'm working on these, I want to broaden my horizons and see like what else is out there. What other anthologies are out there. People have been encouraging me to like submit to anthologies. There's a lot of writers and artists who like to be a part of them, and so I started kind of putting my feelers out there and seeing what was available. And so I, was just connecting with other indie creators and seeing what anthologies are out there and um to hit up different creators and see what I could find. And this Ink Runs Cold was actually, I'm a part of this indie comics Discord group, and someone had dropped it in one of the channels and said like, hey, this is like open for submissions. And Scott Morse put out a call um for anyone to submit a one-page script, for writers to submit one-page scripts for a story. And I was like, okay, like this sounds cool. Um, and I think he got over like 300 or 250 submissions before he closed it down. And I think he chose 15 or 20 of those maybe out of all of those, and he chose mine to be a part of it. So
Cool.
it was super flattering. I actually own the original page, so I own his artwork for my story.
Ooh,
um
sweet.
and so that's really sick. And he's actually going to be, so he's there's a colored version, and then there's going to be a black and white version, so to kind of stick with that noir um theme. But it's amazing. And yeah, so like when it comes to Source Point, um I just started last year. I just started like kind of pitching again. I kind of stopped. I just wanted to work on my own stuff, make my own comics, and not really worry about rejection. I was kind of tired of rejection. I was like, I'm just gonna make my own books, see what happens, and um just keep grinding. And then last year I thought, you know what? I think I'm getting to a point where I feel like I'm a better writer. I've grown a lot. I'm really a lot better at talking with people and kind of being more professional. I feel more confident about my ability. And so it was time to submit stuff. And I had talked with Dirk Manning, the publisher at SourcePoint, a while ago about seasons, and he really loved the book. And this was before he became the publisher. And then when he took over the publisher role, um, it was like, hey, it just kind of worked where it was like, hey, I really like this book. I'm taking over this role. Um, let's talk about getting seasons, on our slate. And so that's how that worked out.
Cool. Yeah, that is fascinating. It sounds good. Sounds like, yeah, just things will fall if you're sticking with it hard. Things kind of fall into place over time.
Yeah, I think people, and I've talked to other creators about this. If you're consistently, posting your art, posting your progress, posting like about what you're working on, it doesn't go unnoticed. I think people are inspired by it. They're also interested to see if you succeed, right? Like you have people that are kind of watching and uh kind of figuring out like, well, is he going to finish this book? Is he going to make it? Is it going to happen? And then if you do that consecutively a few times, people start to really take you seriously, and they're like, oh, like he really means this. Like he's really like committed to making this work. I think a lot of people make their first comic and then they never make another one again. And so when you see people consistently make comics and consistently be a part of the community, or at least engage with other people, and be a part of the indie comic scene, I think it really helps to build your credibility.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, if you do one, if you start a second, you got all these ideas. You're like, this time I want to do this time I want to do this. And
Yeah,
there's you can kind of keep trying stuff. Even like with my I volunteer 1 day a week at a place that puts on a play. And so I helped in the play, and it's yeah, and it went fun. It was really fun. And then I had a small role and everything, and it went
yeah,
good. And then so now they're like, shit, we need to do another play. And then they're like, we should do it like a bigger venue and better audio. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is exactly, it feels like a natural progression, because once you've done
yeah,
it once, then you're like, now we got to do this. Now we got to do this. Now we got to do this. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think like there's something to be said about that. And like, I really with seasons, I really like Anthony and I really tried to make a statement right from the get-go. Like this is 100-page graphic novel, hardcover. Um we're here to stay. Like that was, what I wanted the statement to be. And like we want to make something meaningful and evergreen, and something that will stay on your shelf forever. And so like this series, like, like I said earlier, it's been with me for a while, and there's not a day or, a month or a year that goes by where I'm not thinking about it, where it's like, I want this story. I'm a completionist, so if I start a comic, if I start a story, I have to finish it, like in some form or another. Like if I start a script, I have to finish that script. Like I can't like let it go.
yeah, I think that's cool. That's probably one of your secrets to success, is that instinct. Sweet. Well, let's pick. So, if anyone's watching in chat, we have a goal. It's to get to 80, and one of these might be me. So if we get to 79, that might be good enough. But so if I can peer pressure anyone to back this book, obviously sounds good. You get it about 9 months ahead of time from the nationwide release through SourcePoint Press. So they
Yeah.
kind of a limited edition. And this book has been around. It's Nandor's first book, very um, a well praised book. Yeah, so I'm kind of excited to check it out. And the thing that caught my eye when you were talking about it, it does sound like a lot of fun to buy and own, like your first book and Anthony's first book, and kind of see you guys in real time, like with these new ideas. The new energy that new creators can bring to it is a lot of fun to
Yeah.
take in when I'm
Well,
reading that.
it's something specifically, there's almost a meta, like textual, like subtext thing going on with this series, because like the series is about growth, and it's about change, and it's about Fletcher, who his abilities change with every passing season. It's like this supernatural, like grounded superhero um, story. And what's so cool about it is that as Fletcher evolves and he grows as a character, so is Anthony and I as creators. Like with each book, we're getting better, and you can see Anthony's artwork getting better.
Yeah,
So it's almost like as Fletcher as Fletcher becomes the person he's always meant to be, and as he starts to fulfill the potential of what he has to offer the world, um, we're doing that too in real time with this series. So like I can't imagine, people picking up volume 1 and then volume 2, and then we're going to be launching the Kickstarter for volume 3 next year, after these books are fulfilled.
nice. I was
uh
gonna ask that too. That's good to know. Yeah,
yeah, like to
3 of
see
4 total, right?
yes, yeah, so 4 books total. But to see Anthony's progression as an artist, like, change over all of that, because, like, he's done over 200 pages of this series. We're going into volume 3. He's gonna be doing, like, 140, 150 pages for that 1 volume. It's gonna be insane. So and there is an ash can that is available on this campaign for volume 3, so if people, wanna pick up volumes 1 and 2 and also the ash can, you can. It's like I said, 28 pages, so it's the first, like, appetizer, the first chunk of volume 3. So, yeah, it's not your traditional, 8 to 10 page ash can, like, it's a full issue.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, with the magic number right now, it's at 8. So there's 8 people watching. I don't know how many of those are bots. Prove you're not a bot by saying hi in the chat, and then prove you're extra not a bot, supposedly by backing the book. But I'm paranoid about that because I think bots have money now, and I think that's how they trick us.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would wouldn't that be terrible? Like, your campaign funds, and then you look at your backer list and, like, you're like, "These people don't have addresses," you
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
It's like they just selected you to be like, yeah, a patsy for tax purposes, or like, yeah, then like you've been recruited by like Russia to be a spy somehow, and you need to. Alex VRB says, "I'm a bot." All right, so the one little thing I had planned is a little discussion. I mentioned it earlier into YouTube, but I call it esoteric writing advice, and this could
Yeah.
be it's almost like not necessarily bad, but it's almost like bad writing advice where you're like, what does that even mean? How do we even get anything good out of that? But you can sometimes dig down on these a lot and pull out some fun discussion. So I want to see your reaction to these. I have to read them. I don't think I can put them up on screen, but so
Okay.
they're right to get started. I have 4, and they're all from filmmakers. Unfortunately, that's why I wonder. You might have, as I say, some you might think of some, and you might know some from or either of us from comic writers. No, I have one from Mark Miller on here. So
Okay.
yeah. So Steven Spielberg's his esoteric writing advice to young storytellers is don't be boring. So
Yeah.
let that
Yeah.
sink in. I'm gonna read them all, then we'll kind of talk. But
Okay.
so then Mark Miller's his esoteric writing advice is if you want to be a good writer, get a job and live life, and you won't be a good writer until you're at least 30. So that's one of his, and that's
Damn
like,
it.
yeah, I know you got 2 more years. That's like, and he didn't follow his own advice, by the way. He was writing at 7.
Right. Yeah, he was really young when he got
A lot
started.
of these people, yeah, that's what we can talk about is like they can be like blind to their own skill, so they don't know. What do they call that? There's a word for that, survivorship bias, they call it. So like they just don't
Mm.
even know how they got there. So they when they try and look back and explain it, you can take that with a grain of salt always. And you'll have situations where they might be giving advice that they didn't necessarily do or whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
there's advice that we would potentially give to ourselves. We could put in this too. If there's little things that could almost get in the esoteric thing. But and that too, that's like a paraphrase because I forget exactly when he said that, but I do notice I remember Mark Miller because I kind of did a deep dive on interviews with him when I got hired by him. So I'm
Yeah.
a little bit of a Mark Miller expert, but it all kind of bleeds together. And there's one of the interviews where, because I know he kind of has said like he's like I don't really have patience for teaching, and he's like, and I don't. I think he's kind of said like I don't really know how to break down and give advice very good, but he said
Yeah.
kind of like Spielberg. Like I feel like Spielberg's kind of the same. Like he actually won't give advice very often, and when he does, it's like don't be boring. And yeah, and then Mark Miller's is like get a job and live life. And then so here's a Napoleon quote for you. Napoleon says, "Amateurs discuss tactics, professionals discuss logistics."
Mm.
So there's something there possibly. And here's a David Lynch quote for you. David Lynch says, "If you want to write a movie, you get 70 note cards and you write a scene on each note card and you put them in order, and that's a movie." That's David Lynch's advice.
I
Again,
like
almost
it.
like
Like,
feels almost like bad advice, or you're like, what are you even saying? Like obvious.
yeah,
But yeah. So does any of these inspire a discussion for you right off the bat? I don't know, or any
yeah.
esoteric advice?
Well, like there is something honestly to be said about what Mark Miller that the Mark Miller quote because um while maybe like I don't know if I agree with you're not you're not a good writer until you're 30, but the get a job and like be out in the world um is so helpful, I feel like, because a lot of the time, as writers, like our job is to
I'm putting it up on the
um
screen so we know. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So as writers, like our job is to um kind of reflect the world. I mean, depending on if the story we're writing takes place on Earth, and it deals with regular people, like you may think, oh, I know how regular people talk, but like you live in your own bubble a lot of the time, in your own city, in your own town, and maybe the way that people um, think is not necessarily the way that people the way that people think in your town or your family is not necessarily the way that people think in a different town, in a different city, in a different country. And so, like, if we're writing about certain characters from different backgrounds and we're having to take all of this knowledge, where does that knowledge come from? It's like, while I think there's a lot of utility in research and searching things out and watching YouTube videos or documentaries, like who knows, like on a specific topic, like all those things are very helpful, but there is something about the lived experience of going through something and meeting people and talking with people um, in the quote unquote real world um, that can really inform the way you write and the way that you approach certain characters. So for me, that I think speaks to me because you know there, I guess another one of those other like cliche like advice that's given is like write what you know.
yeah,
And it's like, well, what if you don't know very much? What if
yeah,
like the only thing you know about is this one little pocket, of space, and you're trying to write this big story. You want to write this big story, but you don't have enough knowledge to 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 make it work. So for me, like I can see how that can be. It's very pragmatic, but writers need to be able to engage with the world. I feel like to be able to write about it or at least observe it uh head like to observe it in a way in the context of which it deserves to be observed, if that makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like little examples. I remember in a very early script, I was terrible at writing cops. And
Mm.
if you cut to like, and it's something I'm still like self-conscious about, but since then, I've like interacted with cops in real life. I've read and seen a ton of cops in media.
You got arrested a few times. No.
Yeah. And then I've interviewed cops too, like multiple times as I meet him. Like there's a cop, I think he's an ex-cop, but he's kind of in the scene on Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, and he's a great guy. And I straight up interviewed him like maybe multiple times. I'm trying to remember, but that now I feel like I can sort of write cops and I don't hate it or whatever, you know? And
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, there are certain characters or jobs, like let's say we're writing a character and he works at an accounting firm somewhere, or like I wouldn't even know where to begin of like what kind of water cooler conversation is that supposed to look like, and
yeah,
like what are some of the things that they would talk about if you wanted to kind of put the put the reader in that space, depending on the kind of story you're trying to tell. But like I'm always I'm always having to do research and to see like what are like specific terms that people use. Um, try to watch things, read things, try to find something about those that type of profession that can help with the authenticity of what you're trying to write about, and that can be so difficult because you don't want to misrepresent. um it's kind of like like if an artist were to draw a soldier, and then like uh someone who's been in the military sees that drawing and he's like, that's not how people hold their weapons or their
yeah,
rifles, or
yeah. You
it's
want to
like,
get those details.
yeah, yeah, like those details are very important because they can kind of make or break the experience for the reader, because they're like, well, that's not that's not actually what it's like.
I know. Yeah, I'm really paranoid about that in my writing. And a lot of times, well, that's why I kind of like sci-fi and fantasy because you can tiptoe around that a little bit more.
Yes.
Where
Yeah. Yeah.
if someone's like, "That's not authentic," I'm like, "Yes, it is."
You're like, this is a sci-fi story, you know what I mean? Like we have aliens, like it doesn't need to
Yeah,
be
but you still want to,
so
yeah,
authentic.
try and get that feeling whenever you can, and even if it's just like human psychology or whatever. You so this is
Yeah.
like hypothetically, like imagine two kids out of high school, like one like he reads every book on storytelling theory and he starts writing and say like a lot though, say like 100 books, like all the ones we've heard
Yeah.
of, like Robert McKee and Save the Cat and like every single one. And then the other guy just, yeah, gets a job and lives life. He goes traveling for a couple years or and then they both write a comic and then it's like, yeah, who would write a better comic?
Yeah,
Oh,
who would write a better story? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be
and
a great experiment. And I think, there are people who, are self-taught, like, and I'm definitely that type of writer. Like I never took a writing class, or um, went through a comics writing course or anything like that. And um but a lot of a lot of what I write about are about situations and things and people and places that I have experienced or seen people experience, or are inspired by. uh Sometimes you can watch a movie, or you read a story, and then you go, like, you can take that character out and go, well, what if that character did this instead of this, like, and maybe that's a story, maybe that's your story, like
yeah,
what if Luke Skywalker, was actually, didn't redeem his father? It's like, well, what story is that? And then you can
yeah,
kind of take certain characters out of um, things you do love, and find different ways to explore them with your own stuff. So, I mean, there's something to be said for that as well. Um, but yeah, I think it's important to immerse yourself in a world if you are trying to write about it. And I mean, I've thought about if I were ever to write um a medical drama or something like that. Like, that sounds so difficult for me, because it's like I'd have to like talk to nurses, talk to doctors, like watch documentaries, try to figure out what it actually is like to be um in the day to day, not necessarily, and not even necessarily because I want to write about those things, but for me as the writer, I'm trying to like wrap my head around this world, and like this community of people, and what's off limits, and what's like because I have to like start at the very basic levels of any story I write and go like ask myself all of these questions about like, why is this person here? Why did they want to be a doctor? Why why in this specific hospital? Like all these things, because it really helps to get it from the foundation of what you're building. That's where the story will appear, like when you have the foundation of where these characters come from, and who they are and what they're doing here. um from then on, you
That can
have the
kinda take
story,
care of it
you
a
know
little bit. Then you're like that creates, like, the base that you can almost get more confident and comfortable. Whereas
yeah,
'cause one of the issues we're kinda talking about is, for me, it's like the self-consciousness of, "Is this authentic?" and second guessing
yeah.
yourself and worrying about it. And yeah, what I hear from you, I think I agree, is like, just do a little extra homework even on knowing the characters. I've heard different, things people do, like, people will do, yeah, like, warm up scenes that aren't even gonna be in the story where they just have the characters talk. Like, I think Tarantino does that. I all my examples are movie people, but,
Yeah, well, it's okay. I mean, in a lot of ways, still, it's a visual medium, right? And like there is more of a connection, despite comics being their own medium. There is a lot of parallels you can draw, from film and comics, because it is a collaborative medium. Most of the time, not all the time, um, but there's I love watching filmmakers and listening to filmmakers talk about their process and how they make their films, whether it's the screenwriter or the director. A lot of that is so inspirational for me, and I think it's very important for writers and artists to try to learn from, like, to be open to every medium and learning from people in any creative field, because um I think you're doing yourself a disservice and not being open to learning.
yeah. Yeah, and speaking of kind of this quote, that this Mark Miller esoteric advice, there is, like, a little bit of an example, in history, again, kinda with film is where I see it, but it's when movies went from being silent films to being talking films, they kind of
Mm,
created a new job all of a sudden, where they're like, "Shit, we need to have someone write what they say because now they can talk."
yeah.
So they're
Right.
like, "Okay, who wants to do that?" And they're like, "Okay, journalists." So the journalist class moved into Hollywood and became, sometimes part-time or whatever. They became the first generation of screenwriters, and it's those movies from, like, 1930 to 1940, I feel like it kind of ended. After 1940 is when they almost, like, perfect it in a way, but there's some fun stuff in the 30s where it's, like, very journalisty, almost maybe more leaning on life experience, um,
Mm.
and it could be arguably, some of it's, like, dated in a way, like, you're like, "Oh, I can this feels like early screenwriting, almost in a show." Some of it's, like, show off. I'm trying to think of, like, His Girl Friday. Have you seen that movie or heard of it?
I've heard of
Um
that one. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one, I forget what they call it, a screwball comedy. That one has, like, the dialogue is, like, so clever and so fast. It's actually, like, 10 times more clever than anything today, but you can't even keep up, and so it's like, that movie's
Ah.
almost, like, boring because 'cause you're like, "What the fuck are they even saying?" Like, they're just fucking talking all the time. And,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, so it's like I think, going back to that is not even a bad idea, at least as like an exercise or a mindset of like, all right, before all the theory, when people were just living life, you're not worried about hitting your three acts or whatever, hitting your
Yeah.
commercial breaks, and you're just trying to like tell the story. That is like kind of a good freeing spot to be.
Well, and it's a way to ground your story, and not in terms of genre or in terms of like aesthetic or anything like that, but just I really dislike it when I watch a movie or I read a comic and people are talking, and it feels scripted. you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like this doesn't feel like they're actually having a conversation in this moment. It feels like the writer imposing himself into the conversation between these two characters and forcing the reader to learn about the world or learn about their relationship, or so like any time that happens, um it just it just really like gives me this like feeling, like this like, man, like I don't like this, because I'm no longer hearing the character and feeling the character. I'm just hearing the writer try to set something up.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and totally, and, like, capturing that authenticity, stepping away from when it feels so written. Yeah, that can be, like, a whole thing you're trying to capture
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
whatever it is with exercises or second I wonder, like, even first or second draft, I'm trying to think how that plays into it. A lot of times, it might be the first draft if you're just free flowing, that can sometimes get some authenticity that way.
Mhm.
Um, but actually, what's funny too is with comics, you kind of can't do too much the way movies can of like Harry Potter.
Right. Right.
Yeah, like if that
Yeah.
was a comic, it wouldn't really work because it would be like a 600-page comic to fit all the dialogue in. And
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I've really gotten better at. In people who do read my early work, I mean, I admit it. Like, there's overwriting. There's characters saying too many things in one panel, and it's a matter of learning learning how to cut to the chase quicker, but also still give the character personality. It's that balance between being being straightforward but also nuanced. And that's a very hard thing to explain. It's something that you really have to do uh, in the writing process. Like you start to understand it as you do it, but it's hard to teach it to people, to explain it to people.
yeah, sometimes you have to go through it and do an overwrite for a while before you can pull back or whatever. And
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
level of confidence
because
to be able to pull back too that you can grow just by doing it.
right. Yeah, because like as you're overwriting, there might be that one line that says everything you need it to say, but you only got there because of everything before it and everything after it
Yeah,
that
I'll do
doesn't
that on
need
the
to be
second
there.
draft
Yeah.
sometimes. It'll be a paragraph, and that's the last sentence, and I just delete everything but the last sentence.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
been
right? And
that's
it's like that's there, and
yeah.
that's a part of the
There's
process. So,
there's, like, movies where that has happened that are famous, that are fun. I'm trying to think. I think there was one, it was a Clint Eastwood movie. Maybe it was a Sergio Leone one of the first, like, Man with No Name ones, but they
mm,
asked him and they had written in the script, he had a backstory about losing a girl and now he's wandering kinda thing and blah, blah, blah. And, he changed, I think Clint Eastwood did it, but he's like, "My character wouldn't say that," which is this is actually a funny writing thing. By the way, guys, we're gonna get out of here pretty soon, so we're approaching the last chance to get the Narwhal Nooch. We're at 77 still, we need 1 or 2 more backers if anyone wants to back seasons. Um, yeah, let me, peer pressure you guys. Like Nandor saying, this is a limited edition special book. This is gonna get published, it's good. Editors have read it and loved it. Yeah, I want to read it. Nandor is a good guy, so multiple reasons to check it out. Yes, but okay, so Clint Eastwood, and yeah, so actors, when they say like my character wouldn't say that, that can be kind of good if like your character, you're almost getting that instinct. You're not even working with actors. Like I know Tarantino said he became a good writer when he went to acting class instead of
mm.
writing class because it's you kind of get more into the psychology. But yeah, Clint Eastwood said, "My character wouldn't say that." And like, well, what would he said? And he changed the line to, "There was a woman once," and then so that replaced like a 5 minute scene in the movie or something. It's like that's
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's so cool, and I love when actors take ownership of their roles, and I do think uh the the sign of a seasoned writer, no pun intended, is someone who listens to their characters, and is like sometimes when you're writing, you're just so focused on the plot and trying to get people to follow the story and to keep the story going, that you can kind of forget that you, these are people talking. These are not robots, and the story is should feel organic, not like like a machine, and in a it should be the most organic machine that you make, as a story in a sense. So it's like
Yeah, I
finding
like
that finding that balance. But yeah, I think you learn a lot from observing people. I know I have. I mean, I've always been kind of a wallflower type where it's like I'm watching people. I like people watching. I like seeing what people are wearing, like accessories, jewelry, um, how they talk, where they're from, what their accent is, their mannerisms, their gestures, like all of those things. You experience or you run into people like that if you can just be at the grocery store or wherever and just kind of like have this experience or run into this person and go like that's a character or that's something that I could take and inject into one of my characters.
Yeah, that's great, and that's definitely getting a little bit at this quote too, is just to be exposed to these real life examples, and when that stuff goes into the story, that is like the authentic confidence that brews from that you can
Yeah.
your story with. Um, Fun, yeah. So that was successful. Thank you for talking with me about that. I'm like, it was successful because we can keep going, and there was actually like 3 other quotes.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I hold on. My
You're good.
my computer is connected to my dad's phone, and then my
Yeah.
mom is calling my dad right now. So I don't think we can hear their conversation, which is good. But all right. But this I am gonna end it actually. So yeah, so we'll see. We did get one backer here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Woohoo! Woohoo! So yeah, thanks whoever that was. Oh, Dale A. Nooged it. Dale A.
Oh, dude, thank you so much, Dale. That means so much to me, man.
Yeah. Dale is a good comic creator in his own right. So yeah, so that's fun. That'll be good research or whatever for both you guys to so sorry about the beeping. I don't even know. But I'm about to end it anyway. So all right, I'm gonna click the button, everybody. Thank you for being here. And Nandor, hang out just a second. We'll chat behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
sure. Thank you, guys.
Thanks everyone. Okay. And more chats later with Nandor too. We'll have him back.